How we all doing? Welcome back to my channel. I am God LOA. Let's get it, boy. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be discussing the difference between living in the end and living from the end, okay? Because there is a difference, and a lot of times people discuss living in the end, but that's not what Neville Goddard ever preached about. He talked about living from the end. Somewhere along the lines, people mixed up the wording, added their own meaning, and I'm here to differentiate the two because there is a difference. And it's a mindset shift, and it's subtle, but the difference is very fundamentally powerful, okay? But before I hop in, as usual, click that bell icon, share this video if you enjoyed it, and feel free to check out the first pinned comment down below for contact information, links to my Facebook group. I believe there's a link to my Facebook group, TikTok, coaching services, all that. We got some discounts going on. Other than that, let's hop in. All right. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but living in the end, and just break this down very simply. Living from the end and living in the end, they're two different things. They're in the same ballpark, but they're different. Living in the end is kind of like you're on the fence, right? You're almost there, right? You're at third base. You're almost there, but you're not quite there. The individual that's living in the end, they're feeling good. They're thinking more level-headedly. Is that a word? Oh, well. They're feeling more whole and complete, right? They're doing the inner work, right? You'll notice oftentimes that people that are living in the end will say things like, I'm feeling really good. I still get triggered and I'm still reacting, but I feel good, right? You ever seen those comments? Maybe yourself have said something of the such, right? The individual that's living in the end, they're still focusing on time. They're still reacting. They're still getting triggered. They're still indulging the triggers. They're still viewing through the lens of separation. They're still viewing through the lens of themselves not being the operant power. They're still focusing on the how. They're still complaining about this stuff to other coaches, going on other lives, complaining about what they don't want, complaining to their friends. Living in the end, the individual, they're feeling good, yes, but they're still indulging all these other things. It's just not as much. It's a progression. You start off living in the end, and then you live from the end, you shift into that. But what happens with most people is because they're feeling good, because when you're living in the end, you may experience some internal shifts, right? You may experience some internal shifts, some external movement. You start feeling good, and people will they'll settle, okay? They don't do the inner work as much anymore. They stop really persisting and being consistent and committed with what they were doing. But they're not quite there yet because, you want to know why? Because they're still indulging the time. They're still focusing on time. They're still focusing on the how. They're still focusing on the ands, the ifs, the buts, the whens, the hows, the circumstances. They're still getting triggered. They're still choosing to react, which it is a choice, by the way. It is a choice to focus on all these things, of course. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the individual that's living in the end. The individual that's living from the end, they know it's done. They know it's done. They know they have it. They know they're experiencing it. They know they're going to continue to experience it, and they are experiencing it, etc. They're not focused on time. They're not focused on the ands, the ifs, the buts, the hows. They're not allowing themselves to constantly indulge the triggers. They're not allowing themselves to constantly indulge the circumstances. They're not even noticing the circumstances. They're continuing to do the work. They've evolved to the point where they know that it's happening, so much so that they don't even feel the need to really think about it as much anymore. They're off living their life. They're off manifesting in other areas of their life because they know it's done. That's another thing. The individual that's living in the end, they're still thinking about their desire all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the individual that's living in the end, they're still a little attached and downright kind of obsessed with it. You got to get yourself to that naturalness. When you're living from the end, that's the thing, you're in this natural, calm state. When you're in that natural, calm state, y'all can't disagree with me on this. You are not going to be thinking about your desire all the time. You want to know how I know that? Because you in a natural state. Oh, bitch, you in a natural state. Oh, you in a natural state, all right. You in a natural state with other areas in your life, right? You ain't thinking about that all the time. You are in a natural state when it comes to your phone, you taking a piss of shit, your parents, your friends. You ain't thinking about that all the time consciously. Right? Come on now, you know that that's the truth. So that's the level you want to get yourself to. So that's the difference. That's the difference between living in the end and from the end. Now, how do you shift to going in the end to from the end? You just continue doing the inner work. You continue saturating your mind until you get yourself literally to the point where you're not focusing on any of these things anymore. The circumstances, the ands, the ifs, the buts, the time, the how, the whens, the buts, the triggers, the reactions, none of that. It's solidified, right? All right. So that's it, fam. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Feel free to contact me for one-on-one session, one-on-one coaching. Get a boy, get a girl.